Trump facing backlash tonight after his comments about the U.S. possibly taking over the Gaza Strip. He suggested developing the land into what he calls the Riviera of the Middle East with jobs and housing. The president says he isn't ruling out sending U.S. troops to secure American ownership of Gaza. Meantime, lawmakers from both parties are giving their opinions tonight.
I'm not supportive of having the American people pay to rebuild Gaza.
Well, the impact is to try to distract Americans from the real story. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to seize control of the government so that they can punish their enemies, and reward their friends.
Meantime, local Arab American leaders are sounding off about the president's comments.
Now, you might remember President Trump actually won Dearborn in the 2024 presidential election. Pamela Osborne joining us with some details here. Pamela, you've learned the group Arab American for Trump is now changing its name?
That's right. According to the AP, they've rebranded and are now calling themselves the Arab Americans for Peace. They were active here in Michigan, and that's just one of the many responses we've seen and heard in response to the president's remarks on Gaza.
I was in total shock.
Osama Siblani, publisher of the Arab American News, is still in a state of disbelief after the president suggested moving Palestinians out of Gaza and taking it over, even floating the idea of sending in U.S. troops.
Instead of helping people to recover, they want to kick them out and build resorts. It's just the most unimaginable thing that you could even think of. Coming out of the mouth of the most important person in this world, the President of the United States.
President Trump campaigned in Dearborn, trying to reach Muslim voters displeased with how the Biden administration handled the war between Israel and Hamas. More specifically, its dire impact on Palestinian civilians in Gaza.
He campaigned here as a peacemaker. It turns out to be he is a warmonger.
Siblani did not vote for President Trump, but has been flooded with phone calls and messages from people accusing him of doing so. He says those who didn't get what they expected.
Some of our community were fooled by Donald Trump, and they voted for him. But for us to be blamed for putting Donald Trump in the White House, it's just something that, first of all, it's not true. It's highly exaggerated.
To Siblani, the only solution is a two-state solution where Gazans can return to rebuild themselves.
We need to start pushing our leaders to make intelligent decisions of how they can make the world a more peaceful world.
Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib also weighing in today, tweeting, "Palestinians aren't going anywhere. This president can only spew his fanatical BS because of bipartisan, support in Congress for funding genocide and ethnic cleansing. It's time for my two-state solution colleagues to speak up."
President Trump's Gaza plan is also upsetting some of the Arab Americans who voted for him. A number of those voters are in Dearborn, Michigan, the city with the highest percentage of Arab Americans in the U.S. They flipped to Trump in 2024, partly to protest President Biden's handling of the crisis in Gaza. Nikki Batiste asked people there how they are feeling now. What do you think your headline will be this week?
Gazans will not leave their country.
Osama Siblani's Arab American newspaper has shared the stories of the country's largest Arab community for 40 years.
We have expected from Donald Trump the worst, but he is shocking us of how worse he can be.
Here in Dearborn, Michigan, the Democrat usually wins, but last November, President Trump captured more than 40% of the vote to Vice President Harris's 36%. Part of her loss was due to people not voting for either major party. Siblani says he didn't vote for anyone, but blames Democratic candidates for the rare results.
The vote for Trump was not really a vote for Trump. It's a vote against the Biden-Harris administration because they could not stop the carnage that's happening in Gaza.
If you were to give President Trump a grade for how he's handling Gaza, Middle East, what would it be?
I would say like a C+.
College senior Sarah Shaban voted for Trump. She says she gasped when she saw his remarks.
I was disappointed, but I also wasn't surprised. But I would say that I kind of find it hard to believe that he would actually implement what he's saying.
Did you regret voting for him?
A little bit, yeah. But then I thought about it, and I was like, there's a ceasefire now, and I wasn't sure there was going to be a ceasefire if Kamala was elected.